This podcast reflects my personal experiences and reflections as an adoptee. I am not a therapist or a mental health professional, and nothing here is meant to replace professional support. Some of the topics I explore may bring up difficult emotions and memories. If you find yourself needing more support, I encourage you to reach out to a therapist, counselor, or trusted person in your life. Welcome to Coming Home, a podcast dedicated to healing through exploring and celebrating childhood memories in adulthood. I am the host, Augie Sanchez. Honduras is known as the original Banana Republic, a term that goes back to the early 1900s when American fruit companies had a huge influence over the country. That influence shaped a lot of Honduras's history, including periods of political instability and military rule. By the 1970s, the economy was still heavily tied to agriculture, especially bananas and coffee. That made the country really vulnerable. If prices dropped globally or a natural disaster hit, it could have serious impacts. During that time, Honduras was also one of the poorest countries in the region. A lot of people, especially in rural areas, didn't have access to basic resources, and economic development was slow. Another big issue was how much the economy depended on multinational corporations for banana production. While those companies brought business, a lot of the profits didn't stay in Honduras, which made it even harder for the country to build long-term economic stability. When I read about the economic devastation exportation has created on my homeland, it just always hurts my soul. Mi gente, my people struggle, not just with economic hardship, but also with violence, domestic abuse, illiteracy, and more. I'm always amazed how, when I talk about certain memories, I think that I am good, but then as I look at my notes, I have to take a moment, take a deep breath, steady myself, and start again. I have a vivid memory of that moment. A moment of fear, a moment of instability, a moment that for a very long time, I just didn't understand. But I didn't want to go back. I didn't want to research. I didn't want to learn because I knew that it was heartbreaking. I remember this moment clearly. It is like time stopped and even nature went silent. A woman is holding me. We are in the clinic. The door is open. It's a bright day. There are men. These men are wearing camo and carrying weapons. They are looking around the clinic. It feels so heavy. Fear is so very present. I can feel the woman's fear. I can feel fear suffocating the breath out of me. I look out the window that is next to the sink. I can see that we are near the sink and that the scenery seems so silent. I hear nothing, no sound, just a great weight of fear holding space in this moment. I cannot figure out who this woman is, but I know she is holding me tight. We are quiet. It seems like we are quiet. It seems like this moment will never end. It seems like I'm stuck here. I don't know who these men were. When I do my research, of course, it kind of vaguely talks about political instability and violence that happened in Honduras, but it doesn't talk about the groups that were actually out in the fields, tormenting, terrorizing communities. These men, they were some sort of guerrilla group. They had weapons and wore clothing like the military. Through my research, I've come to the conclusion that the militias established in Central and South America were encouraged and even trained by Western governments invested in corporational profits of their what they called their resources from our lands. Those who struggled were easy targets to do the work for these corporations. This can be seen with the water warriors who fight for the bodies of water against corporations within Central America. Militias are sent to intimidate and even remove these warriors from their natural resources and from defending their lands. I have experienced fear, but this level of fear was something I have never encountered since then. I can only imagine what children have to live through who experience this type of fear on a daily basis. Children in areas of governmental instability and war. Children who live in communities riddled with poverty and violence. Children who watch in their own homes abuses that steal lives of loved ones. That memory followed me, never finding closure, never finding solace. I spoke once to the adoptive mother about this memory, and she said it was possible to have happened, but there wasn't any reassurance, no explanation. I had to carry that memory alone for a very long time. When I look back on that memory now, I am not terrified anymore. That memory no longer steals my breath. That memory no longer holds me hostage. I just grieve for that little girl who had to process that fear on her own for too long. So, what can we do to support Honduras' economic growth and stability? We can help through supporting sustainable agriculture, through supporting the enhancing of education, the fostering of entrepreneurship, and improving infrastructure to build resilience against climate disasters. Some of this can look like investing in local and international coffee value chains, supporting climate smart farming, supporting through financial giving towards providing technical training for youth, and strengthening local NGOs. Another resource is outreach ministries or missionary work. I want to pause and I want to thank the missionaries who went to Honduras to help the people in need. The nurses that helped me, the nurses that cared for me, the nurses that nurtured me, and the nurses that loved me came from Missouri. And they might have come from other parts of the United States, but I don't know. The ones that reached out to me recently that started the reunion with my birth mother, they came from Missouri. And they cared for children like myself who were physically ill from parasites, physically ill from malnutrition. And they loved us, sacrificed their time, they sacrificed their comforts to make sure that communities like mine were also being cared for. So I want to thank every missionary worker who has sacrificed and has questioned whether what they did was worth it. I am here to say yes. What your sacrifice was worth my life, and I thank you. Do you have a childhood memory that haunts you? Have you shared it with anyone you feel comfortable to talk about it? How do you give space, comfort, and safety to that child within? Coming home isn't just enjoying and celebrating the good memories of my life in Honduras, but it is also giving space to grieve and to honor those moments too difficult to relive. Finding space for those memories of vulnerability and fear, and allowing them to tell the story of strength and resiliency in me that were given as gifts from my ancestors. If you would like to learn more about how you can help children in Honduras, you can check out the following resources. Let's continue the journey together as we feel what it's like coming home. That influence shaped a lot of history. It is like a time. Okay, let's start again. Another big issue was how much the economy depended on multinational companies for banana production. It seems like I know nothing. It seems like what does it seem like? Oh my gosh. I must pause and also give a big thanks to the missionaries that went to Honduras to help with. Start over. I can't do this. I want to pause and give a Thanksgiving. I want to give a thankful heart. I want to be thankful. I want to say thank you. These missionaries if you find value in this podcast and you would like to support Coming Home, you can send a financial love offering to my Cash App. All financial love offerings are greatly appreciated.